Hi Reading Zone Book Club, my name is Holly Race and I'm a writer. I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about my book Midnight's Twins, which is published by Hockey Books. It's a young adult fantasy that is the first in a trilogy that is set between this world that we're in now and the world we go to when we dream. So my main character is Fern, who is 15 years old when she discovers that her mother, who she thought died naturally when she and her brother Olly were babies, actually might have been part of a secret army who protect people from their dreams and their nightmares, and might have actually died in the line of duty. So Fern naturally becomes absolutely determined to be part of this army called the Knights, and is really furious when her twin brother Olly is the one who's recruited instead. Now, Fern and Olly hate each other for fairly good reasons. Olly has not been very nice to Fern in the past, and as far as Fern's concerned, there is no way back. But as she starts to learn more about the Knights and starts to investigate her mother's death, she realises that she might need to work with her brother to find out the truth. So I'm going to read you a little extract from near the beginning of the book. Now this is taken from the second chapter, and this is from a bit that's set in this world. As I reach the station and pass through the ticket barriers, my phone vibrates with a message inside my bag. I bet it's Dad with another of his attempts at a motivational joke. I'll be thinking of you tonight. It's from neither Olly nor Dad. I raise my eyebrows as I reply to the unknown sender. Wrong number. Tonight's Halloween and it sounds as though someone's got big plans. Good luck to them. Mine involve changing into pyjamas as soon as humanly possible and cramming for a history test. On the tube, I studiously avoid the curious, pitying glances of my fellow commuters and stare at the front cover of Metro. The headline reads, "Ratings soar for Sebastian Madraut." The photo doesn't do justice to the politician, or at least, not to his eyes. I've seen him in person outside school. His deep violet irises, somewhere between amethyst and sapphire, made a cyclist crash into a lamppost thanks to an ill-timed double take. He has always laughingly denied they are lenses, and I've always believed him. I know all too well that eyes do indeed come in all colours. I can only read a snippet of the article. In recent years, Madraut has made a staggering comeback to once again capture the hearts and minds of a nation. A typical puff piece, then. The person whose paper I've been reading catches my eye and rustles the pages irritably. I resist the urge to point out that newspapers can, shock horror, be read more than once, and slide my drawing pad out of my bag. When I come up for air at Sloane Square, I reach into my bag to check the time on my phone. The unknown number has messaged again. Have you never wondered about your mother's death, Fern? I stop dead in the middle of the pavement and a man glares at me as he pushes past. Who is this? I reply, shock making my fingers clumsy. But they don't respond. They haven't replied by the time I reach Bosco College, or by the time I'm forced to put my phone away at the start of double biology. They haven't replied by first break when I am interrupted in my toilet haven by Lottie Madraut and her harem, or by the time break ends and I slip into the back of the Latin classroom. Why would I wonder about Mum's death? It was simple. She passed away in her sleep. Sudden death syndrome. Rare, tragic, but it happens to all sorts of people. There has never been anything to question. It is only when I am standing in the lunch queue that my phone vibrates again. My whole body flushes as I spot the words on the screen. Your mother knew me by another name, but you may call me Archimago. Then, soon afterwards, she and I were knights together in Annwn. Archimago? Annwn? I may as well still be in Latin for all the sense these words make. I have had time to order my thoughts now, though, and I know what I want to say. I won't be distracted by a strange vocabulary. What did you mean about my mum's death? This time, the reply comes almost immediately. Una didn't die peacefully at all. She was murdered. It's as though the mysterious Archimago has reached through the phone screen, through my ribcage, and is squeezing my heart tight, tight, tight. I place a hand over my mouth to stop myself from showing too much emotion. No one else in the queue seems to have noticed my reaction, though. Half of them are glued to their phone screens too. I look from face to face, wondering whether this is a malicious prank by one of my peers. "How do you know?" I reply, and after a moment I deliberately put my phone back into my bag. If Archimago is watching, I don't want to give them the satisfaction of seeing how shaken I am. I stare straight forward, my elbow pressed against my bag to feel the vibration should another message arrive. I choose the chicken curry and chocolate sponge and take my lunch to my usual table where everyone knows not to bother me. Those words, "she was murdered," ricochet around my skull until they break apart. She was murdered. Was she murdered? Murdered she was. I can't help it. I place my phone next to my plate. Elsewhere in the hall, Lottie Madraut's ringing laugh carries over the other voices. Spoonful of curry halfway to my mouth, the screen lights up once more. Archimago has replied. I draw the phone towards me, and rice spills in maggoty drips into my lap. Because I killed her. Dun, dun, dun. So that was an extract from part of the book that's set in this world. I'm going to talk to you a little bit now about what inspired me to create the dream world. So I have always loved Celtic mythology and Arthurian legends and folklore, so I hooked a lot of the dream world into that. So the dream world is called Annwn, which is spelt Annwn, so not at all how you say it, and that is the word in Welsh mythology for the other world or the underworld. And the knights, you can probably tell from the name, are all based in Arthurian legend, and there's a whole backstory about King Arthur, who is the founder of the knights and their order, and each of the regiments in the army is named after a different knight of the Round Table. So you've got Bedivere and Gawain and Palamedes and Lancelot, that helped me figure out the kind of names and things like that for Annwn, but I really also wanted to reflect in the dream world some of the stuff that we know happens when we sleep. So it's fairly well documented that when we sleep, our subconscious works out some of the anxieties and the worries and the issues that are going on for us in the real world when we're awake. And I was trying to figure out how that could work if we all, when we sleep, go to the same alternative universe. And what I came up with is that Annwn is powered by imagination, which is called Inspire in the dream world. And everything that we can imagine just kind of comes to life in Annwn. So it's a really beautiful place, and I wanted it to be somewhere that a reader would really love to go to escape to. That, yeah, it's dangerous and there's monsters and nightmares and kind of other insidious things going on there, but it's also really, really gorgeous, and there are unicorns that graze next to the deer in Hyde Park, and probably some dragons going on up in the Scottish Highlands, all that kind of stuff. So really magical stuff, but also, so if we can imagine it, it's there. But also I wanted to turn that on its head a little bit and think about what happens if there was someone in Annwn who could influence what we're imagining, who could manipulate our dreams. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes when I have a nightmare about a friend who does something really nasty to me, then if I see them the next day, then it can take me a little while to kind of shake off the feeling that they're not a very nice person, maybe, because that's still going on in my subconscious memory somewhere. And I wondered what would happen if there was someone who could make people dream that way about a certain person or a certain kind of person, night after night, month after month. You know, what would that do to the way that we view those people in real life? I think it would make you fear them, and I think there was a lot that I wanted to explore about fear in the book, and the way that we deal with fear and how it affects us in our day-to-day lives, how we treat other people when we're afraid. So some of this stuff Fern has been dealing with all her life because she has a very strange appearance. She's got red irises and very pale skin, and in the last year or so something else has happened to her that has given her a quite unusual appearance, and so she's kind of always been bullied And I wanted to explore a little bit in the book how, not just how Fern deals with that, because obviously she's going to be really hurt and have a lot of walls put up around it, but also she starts to uncover some of the reasons around why her bullies did what they did, and why people bully in general, and the kind of power that sometimes it can give a bully who maybe doesn't feel like they have much power in real life. That's made all the more interesting, I think, for Fern, because one of her bullies is her twin brother Olly, so she kind of can't get away from him. She's moved schools at the beginning of the book to get away from her other bullies, but she can't not live with her brother anymore. So that relationship was really, really important to me, and it's kind of the defining relationship of the whole trilogy, really, is that at the beginning of the trilogy, these are two twins who just don't talk anymore. They hate each other. Fern for very, very good reasons. Olly for kind of come to understand it, maybe. But I am an only child personally, so I don't have personal experience of this, but I've always been really interested to watch my friends and family deal with their brothers and sisters. I find it really fascinating that they can do and say things to each other that you would never be able to say or do to a friend. If you did, then that would be it. There would be no going back. But somehow, because you've got that blood tie, that family tie, you can. There's always a chance of redemption, and so that was the position I wanted to put these twins in at the start of the book. Was it looks like there's no going back, but is there? Because they're going to be forced together. They're starting to, be confronted with some of their own behaviours and how that's led to the awful things that have happened between them. And can they start to repair their relationship? You'll have to read to find out. So I hope you like the sound of Midnight's Twins. If you like films like Inception or books like Shadowhunters or Percy Jackson, then it might be up your street. If you do happen to read it and you like it, then do drop me a message on social media. I love hearing from my readers, and sometimes I pop in some little spoilers about next books on there, so keep an eye on that as well. Thank you so much for having me, Reading Zone Book Club, and it's been a delight to talk to you. Thanks very much. Bye.